Hi everybody, here's Christian from Teamwork Cast.
And it's Cat Thulu on this perfect day to hunt the monsters.
Nice. Welcome to Let's Play Monster Hunter Generations, and this is episode number 5. Is that true? Are we already 5?
Yes, 5.
We upgraded some stuff, right?
Yep. I've got full sets of armor and weapons, and I think you've upgraded some of your weapons a little bit.
Yeah, my weapon is a bit upgraded now, but I still want to have the Macau switchblade, charge blade, I mean. So we thought we're gonna change a bit the order. We're not gonna go through the quest in order. We're gonna switch up a little bit. We have a little quest where we have to slay a bunch of small Macau monsters. So let's do that.
Yep, it's called Raid-Faced Ruffians. It's a slay 20 Macaws, and we have a sub-quest to kill another great Macau. So, we might end up doing that.
Ooh.
The client is the crybaby feline. And the summary is, I was taking a walk when a herd of macaws surrounded me. Those bloody red faces. I was left catatonic for days. I'm too afraid to go out on walks now. Could you please help me, Hunter?
That acting.
I know. It's horrible.
Love it.
You all come here for horrible voice acting.
Is it though? Maybe if you're coming for horrible voice acting, they're disappointed because they just get the prime stuff that you get from you.
The prime feline.
Prime feline. Anyways, something that we haven't mentioned, like in this box, there's always supplies, and in the hunting quest, in a gathering quest we had previously, there weren't really that many. But now that we are fighting the real monsters, we get a ton of supplies. Yep. Supplies!
So, one thing I am going to do for the series going forward is I'm removing the map from my screen. Everyone's kind of seen the maps, and when we get to new maps and we do the gatherings for them, I'll pull it up so people can see the maps when we do the gathering quests. But the map just takes up so much visual real estate as we're doing these quests.
It makes things complicated and busy.
Yeah. So, we're going to remove that.
That's good.
Everyone gets the idea. And so, I'm going to go just start beating on the Great Macau. Because where there's Great Macau, there's little Macaus.
Well, I'm going to help you.
And he's up in number 5.
Number 5. On my way. In the pipe, 5x5.
5x5. And, getting the Great Macau gets more parts, so some armors, more weapon stuff.
Yeah, that's what Monster Hunter is all about, getting all the parts and making hats out of the parts.
Yeah, one thing I did like that they've done, and this is kind of like the prime example of it, is all of the low-level quests in the village, or on online specifically, there's less to extent in the village, it's like, oh, you need to go kill this small thing or gather these small things. There's always a large monster to fight.
Oh, so it's never getting boring. So you can always supersize your quest.
Yep.
And we are all about supersizing, aren't we?
Well, this is America, isn't it?
No, it's not. I'm from Germany. Well,
we know you Germans like your supersized sausages.
That's true. The sausages are important. I wanted to say that isn't that true that the monsters that come up in those quests have less health than the real monsters?
Typically yes, because they don't want them to drag out the quests. There are exceptions, but because they do have a varied health average, but they tend to be on the smaller end.
So the idea is if there's a monster that kind of that is there just to harass you, that monster will be easier to defeat than when it's a monster that is your main goal in the quest.
Yeah. One thing you'll notice there that just happened, Great Macau here likes to rear up on his tail a lot.
Yeah.
And if you manage to hit him on his tail when he's reared up, you'll knock him over and you'll get a shiny drop. In this case, is a Ryvant tier. But essentially, those are moments of weakness in a monster, where you can kind of take advantage of a wind-up mechanic for them. And if you manage to do enough damage in that period, you get a reward.
Yeah, it's basically like finding out, you have to wait for the right moment, and if you can strike at the right moment, then you can get an advantage. But that made him angry now.
Yes, typically they'll come out of it angry, but
because his groove was disturbed.
Yeah. They'll also get angry if you do enough damage to them. So it's a good sign that you're. If a monster gets angry, it's a sign that you are doing things correctly.
Yeah, you don't want to be. If a monster is not angry, if a monster is happy, then you're doing something wrong. Then you shouldn't snuggle a monster, okay?
Yeah, snuggling monsters are bad.
You're not here to make them happy.
Unless they're Volvidon. Yeah, you should always snuggle a Volvidon.
Volvidons are best.
I can't wait to fight.
Oh, he's already limping. See? That was easier than the last one.
Make sure to grab your small corpses. They do last a lot longer than they used to, but they still do fade fairly quickly.
Something I noticed like in a new game is like the gathering spots have a lot more items now.
Mm-hmm.
That's so satisfying.
It makes the gathering tedium not quite as bad.
People say German sausages. I told you guys before, Polish sausages is where it's at. Kiełbasa. Kiełbasa for life.
Well, that's because you're born in Poland.
Yes, but seriously, Germans, they're not really like it's like the cliche, I guess. And there's like there's lots of different sausages, but the bratwurst is an important one, the kind of sausage that you put on a grill.
Yeah,
that's the one important one. And there's also the Weisswurst, which is kind of like a white sausage, which is really creepy.
So when monsters get weak, they'll go to sleep, like we saw.
Yep.
And an important note is the first hit on a sleeping monster does triple damage.
Yeah. So you don't. Did something wrong here?
No. Well,
you wanted to do something. You want to bump him?
I can't do anything because I don't have any bombs.
Okay.
But one of the tactics a lot of people will use later on is they will place bombs to wake up monsters.
Wake me up inside. Yeah. And some people considered for a long time this to be a scrub tactic.
Yep. But
But we're scrubs.
Right. I mean.
Also,
look at Christian running around his leather, and I'm just wagging my tail all over the place.
Also, those people can go eat a kielbasa because they're tasty.
Kielbasa. Sauerkraut.
No sauerkraut with kielbasa. Why are you kidding me? This is not good. This is not how you eat kielbasa.
You just deep throat the kielbasa.
You need the kabanosy kielbasa, which are like the very thin, very 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 long kielbasas, which is the best.
Yeah.
Macau wants to snuggle with me. He's on his ledge. That's something I really missing. That you cannot really push the monsters around. That would be nice if you could just do like a Fuzdora, and then he falls down.
Fuzdora.
Oh, he's on the ground.
Beat him up.
Yes! Subquest complete! Woo! So he was our subquest, I guess.
Yeah.
So Macau is slowly losing his position in the monster hierarchy. He was the main quest just before, but now suddenly he's the subquest.
Yep. So one of the interesting things that's being brought up in chat is the story in Monster Hunter. And it's one of those things, like Monster Hunter's story is kind of never been. It's not the epic narrative that you would get from some games, but it has a lot of fun to it, and it has a lot of fun with itself, and that is especially true with this game. I mean, they're paying homage to what was it, 93, I think was Monster Hunter 2? Remember the first Monster Hunter? I can't remember exactly, but I mean, you're doing 4 generations of Monster Hunter. You're bringing back all these characters. They're having fun with each other. They're having fun with themselves, and there's a lot of fun stories inside the game if you take the time to read through and look at them. And now we beat up little Macaws.
Yeah, let's just get those guys. So they are basically a baby Macaws or something like this?
Yeah, they're basically juveniles. We're basically beating up the teenagers.
Mm-hmm. That seems about right. Something I like about Monster Hunter story, so if you expect a story in terms of A happens and B happens and C happens, that's obviously really bad with Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
But where Monster Hunter I think really excels is like world building.
Yep.
In that it creates like such a universe that is kind of unusual. Actually, it's very difficult to characterize this. Is it fantasy?
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's fantasy, but it's also like a very unusual fantasy, not in a typical, Lord of the Rings kind of fantasy, but more of a steampunkish.
Right. It's like it's basically like a but I like to think of it as a low fantasy, low tech steampunk.
Well,
because they're not.
Yeah.
Because they're not really doing anything like they're not building tanks with their steampunk technology. They're building like an airship or a giant cannon that they can move around. They're not doing like mobile walking machines or electricity or things like that.
See, Cthulhu, I read somewhere that the distinction between low fantasy and high fantasy is that low fantasy is something like Harry Potter, where it's like a fantasy world within the real world, and high fantasy is like completely within the fantasy world, something like Lord of the Rings. So that would be still high fantasy.
See, my background with it and reference point is more like D&D is like a high fantasy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's the different
where
readings.
There's lots of magic, lots of power in the world, and low fantasy is one where you don't have things like magic or.
There's no magic Monster Hunter. That's true. I mean, there's some fantastic contraptions and weapons and stuff like that, but not really like. There's no magicians. That's true. Yeah, there's something. Some people say, for example, that something like Mass Effect is like hard sci-fi. But
no, mess.
Because it's like hardcore sci-fi, but it's kind of like a different understanding of the term.
Right. Yeah. There's lots of definitions you can go by. Because like for me, hard sci-fi is something that the science fiction takes place in like the real bounds of science.
Yeah.
Something like
The Expanse series.
The Expanse, or like Rendezvous with Rama. It was 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Definitely.
Where it's like generational ships versus hyperdrives.
Yeah. So Star Trek is not hard sci-fi.
No. Star Trek, Star Wars, they're both space opera.
I mean, Star Wars. Some people would maybe say that Star Wars isn't even science fiction.
Right. There are a lot of people who don't classify Star Wars as science fiction.
Space fantasy.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. There's just robots, spaceships.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Star Wars is
Come
Star
from
Wars.
Monster Hunter. Come from Monster Hunter, get theoretical talk on,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is our podcast, just rambling, because we just slaying monsters one after another. Like, there's at some point you're gonna have to also learn about each other. So much magic running around.
I like to touch Christian's butt.
Yeah. I'm a kielbasa person. I don't know, man.
Yep. And so there's our Macaws.
There's our Macaws. Hopefully we can upgrade something now.
Hopefully. We'll probably find out next time.
You want to go immediately? You want to finish the episode immediately?
I don't know.
I'm gonna
it's
see.
Up to you.
I'm gonna see if I can upgrade. Actually, if I can upgrade, then I will let you know.
If you can upgrade, we'll do the next one.
Can you upgrade? Do you have to upgrade something, or do you have to work towards something?
Basically, for me, it'll basically be every time we find a new large monster, I'll be able to upgrade. Like I can't Palicos don't upgrade pieces. They only, basically, it's like, this is what you get. There is no, like, upgrading it. You just make it. So, there's that less complication for me. Actually, while you're doing upgrades, one thing I can do is show people a little bit of the Palico skill system. Because that's a little bit of a interesting mechanic. So, I'm going to come over here to my Palico board, and I'm going to go to support moves. But let's start off with, let's look at, we'll start with support moves. So every Palico, you can see here, I've got 4 currently. They have a list of learned moves. You can see here. So, Cat Thulu here has Furious. The top one will always be your baseline for your specialty. So a defense cat, denoted by the shield, will always have Taunt. Support cat, healing bias, will always have the true health horn, so on and so forth. And then everything else below that are skills that you can slot into slots. And so right now, you can see I have Mini Bombay and Herb unlocked. And a whole bunch of these other skills that are locked. The locked skills, you have to defeat a specific monster to unlock.
Ooh.
So, like the Flash Bombay there, if I remember right, is Gypceros. So after you defeat your first Gypceros, that'll unlock.
Let's do that.
It's not an actual skill I actually like very much, but we can.
There will be Gypceros in the future anyway.
And then the number on the right, specifically for support moves, indicates how much Palico power you need, which you'll see underneath when I'm fighting where the normal item bar is. There's a small bar on the bottom that fills up, which is how much you get. I believe I only have like a maximum of 3 or 4. So like Furious I can't use at all right now. But so let's go in here and I'll click this and I have a number of slots I can use for support skills. This will increase as you level up. Currently I have 4 and I've got 2 empties. So let's throw in the Herb Horn and a Mini Barrel Bombay. And there you can see it tells you exactly what it does. The Herb Horn does a horn, very, very long horn, and heals for the amount of a herb. So, not something that you'll want to be making much use of. But it does cost nothing, so I can use it all the time.
Nice.
And so, you can do that. Now, the Palico skills, these are passive abilities. Currently, I have none. You can see there in memory, I have 3 slots. And different skills have different slot requirements. So here, Attack Up Small takes up 2 slots. Handicraft takes up 4 slots, so on and so forth. These, you can see, unlock at reaching specific levels, and they unlock for all Palicos. So once I reach level 10 with a Palico, every goldfish catcher will be unlocked on all Palicos and everything. So now, I'll just slot the Attack Up Small. And then I'll also do the same thing here for my little support cat. And currently they have Universal. Becomes Angry. I think we're going to actually go Boomerang Pro. And Defense Up Small. For now.
That's a nice build.
And that's that.
Nice.
And when you recruit cats, they'll have random abilities and passives you can use, and you can cross-train 1. It's like 1 active and 2 passives from one cat to another.
Ooh.
And that's done through offline, so I'll have to share that some other time.
Yeah, let's do that. Cool, so I checked out my upgrades and I can build a new weapon when I get 2 disc stones. So this is going to be something that is going to be on our list. The next time when we do this stuff, I hope you will join us then. And as always, good luck and good hunt. I love you. I love that you do this. This is great.